The Baba V'Rav, Reb Shlomo Halberstam, who passed away Rosh Chodesh Av, I think, Tovshin Samach, right? 2000? Yeah? Okay. So, what the Maisa that he was a son of the Kedusha Sion, Rabbi Sion, who was murdered in the Holocaust, and he survived, and became afterwards the Baba V'Rav till his passing in the summer of 2000. The early years, he came to America in the 1940s, and Bobiv, like so many other Hasidic dynasties, was virtually almost completely wiped out. But he rebuilt a great community, a great empire. And I think he was in Manhattan in the beginning, right? So the Bobiv, where was he? In the West Side, right? So he didn't have a minyan Friday night. So he asked his son, Reb Naftolshe, to go out and find a Jew for a minyan. So he went out with somebody else, and there was a Jew walking there on the sidewalk, He looked like a Jew. And he asked him if he would join them for a minyan. They need a tent. He said, yeah. He comes in. He looked like a secular Jew. They gave him a yarmulke. And he said, by the way, ich bin a bal tefillah euch. I could daven for the Amid euch. Gesundheit. So he went to the Amid, and he did a beautiful tefillah. And he tells the Baba V'Rav, he says, before the war in my city, I was a bal tefillah, I was a chazan. Fine. So he said, so why don't you come? Why don't you come every Shabbos? You'll be our bar tefillah. We'll have a minyan. You'll be a bal tefillah. You'll get your stender back. And he started to come. And it was wonderful. He was a beautiful bal tefillah. And the while he was bringing him into shul. And he was very happy. And then one day he disappeared. He stopped coming. After a few weeks, the Baba V'Rav, Shabbos morning, asks his son, he says, where is this Jew? So he says, I don't know. He just stopped coming. He probably lost interest. He got bored of the stender. So he says, go outside, walk around. Maybe he's somewhere in the neighborhood. Invite him. Tell him that we miss him. I want him back. He should come for a visit. Fine. So he takes somebody from the shul before Shabbos morning, and he goes out to look for him. He doesn't know if he's going to find him, but there was a park nearby. So they walk through the park, and this Jew is sitting Shabbos morning in the park with a newspaper, and he's smoking a cigar, smoking a cigarette, and reading the paper. So they saw this. They didn't want to go over. They went back to shul, and he tells his father that, unfortunately, we saw him in the park. He's sitting and reading a newspaper, and he's smoking on Shabbos. So his father said, "Sinisht emes, sinisht emes." The Baba V'Rav says, "Sinisht emes, erechet nisht av Shabbos." So he says, "Tata, you could be Malamed Schus. It's a wonderful thing. I wouldn't invent a story about somebody. It's not my thing. And I was here with him. I'm telling you, this is what I saw." He says, "Sinisht emes." He's not smoking on Shabbos. So he thought, his father was being extra holy and choosing to close his eyes. He says, "Tata, I'm just telling you the fact that he's smoking on Shabbos. Interpret it how you want, but this is the fact." So he says, "Nay, nay, nay. Erechet nisht av Shabbos." He's not being Mechalel Shabbos. The Nazi Rechet of Shabbos. The Nazi is Mechalel Shabbos. He's not desecrating Shabbos. The Nazi, the German, is desecrating Shabbos. The German is smoking on Shabbos. He kept on repeating this. He says, you should know this. And you should go back to him, invite him, tell him that we want him here and he's always welcome. And you should know that rechet nisht av Shabbos, the Nazi rechet. Okay? His father said so he went back. And he invited him and he gave him regards from her father and he said, you're always welcome and so forth. Reb Naftolshe told the story. And he said that approximately 35 or 40 years later, around 35 years later, his father was invited for a Sheva Brachas. And he was already an older man. It was the Baba V'Rav. Reb YY Halberstam was invited for a Sheva Brachas of a Jew making a wedding. He already wasn't going. It wasn't easy. He was older. But he decided to go. And he went. And the day of the Sheva Brachas, this person, the father of the Chassan, came to the Baba V'Rav to greet him, to ask for a blessing and so forth. He comes in. So he says, call my son Reb Naftolshe. He calls in his son, and there was a Jew standing there, a Jew with a yarmulke, with payas, with his son, the Chassan, that came for a blessing for the Baba V'Rav. And he says, "Du zest, ich hätte gesagt, dass ist nicht Mechalel Shabbos." The natzi at Mechalel Shabbos given. Here was that Jew who raised a son according to the path of Torah. He himself was a Shomer Torah mitzvah. So he says, you see, I was right. He was never desecrating the Shabbos. The Nazi was desecrating the Shabbos. Now that takes a penetrating vision to be able to see an act which is terrible, which is wrong, and not to justify it, Khalila, in any way, but to be able to distinguish between the external behavior of the person and who the person really is. This Jew was smoking, but why was he smoking on Shabbos? The pain, the agony, the trauma, the suffering, what he has endured in the war, there was so much pent up in him. This was his way of expressing his frustration, his anger, his pain, his sadness. From his perspective, this is what he felt he should be doing after the Holocaust. It was the Nazi that causes him to desecrate the Shabbos. It's the Nazi desecrating the Shabbos. He himself is not desecrating the Shabbos. However, this defined his life. This overtook his brain. This overtook his heart. There was nothing else. He lost his family. This was it. So who did he blame? He blamed the Jews. He blamed Shabbos. He blamed God. Internally, he wasn't. This is what Rashi is saying, the lesson of Rashi. If it's true in the negative, it's also true in the positive. A person has to be able to know about themselves that their internal purity and holiness, atem, afilu shayigin, afilu mezidin, never ever changes, even if a few years or a few decades, vetmen fablunjet, there are external factors that take over a person's life, but essentially, who are you? Have a wonderful week.